Continuing with discussion following my viewing of the Republican National Convention tonight, and now hearing the post-breakdown, and hearing the very straightforward and legitimate criticisms of speeches mostly composed of problem solved and a well-used term of indictments by the broadcaster. I'm not familiar with his name, but the gentleman was saying, like, if you're coming with 8 million problems, you should most certainly have 8 million solutions. Because, I mean, people do definitely identify with some things incredibly negatively across the board. And I would say that, you know, if you ever touch the subject of ISIS on a podium, you had best, it seems, be talking about blowing them up, about harsher campaigns, about more dedication to the issue. But as a solutions analyst, and one that will hopefully serve in the cabinet of the next United States president, it seems to me that the only way you can say that you want to continue on with what's been happening is if you have been committed to the effort of what's been happening in our contest militarily against ISIS so far since ISIS has identified itself as a threat. Now, I mean, I was in middle school when 9/11 happened, and I can now name multiple groups that have been the target of all of our efforts. And as we move from one to another, as time and the years go on, it seems to me we need to become much more proactive and much more serious in our determination of how we should be combating these threats. Now, you have seen the focus shift entirely to ISIS at most times when we're talking about violence in the Middle East, of the massive refugee crises that have come up concerning these issues in the times that we live in. I would suggest that I have a very simple solution to the problem, and hence my application to serve in the impending administration, and would enjoy much more working for Donald Trump, I believe. But it's more about the citizens of my own country and our relationship with the rest of the world and each other. So here's the tip. If you want to defeat ISIS, you can't have anything to do militarily around where ISIS is at. ISIS seems to be content with destroying its own citizenry with not only harsh violence against the citizen populations where they live, but by taking out physical artillery and firearm movements against civilian occupied areas to control that, versus other communities acting militarily in the region. We only get bad press because when we authorize military actions within these regions, we are allowing personnel to die accidentally and be casualties on the side of our directives in those regions. And we broadcast ourselves as a negative presence. And everything that happens can be blamed on the United States by the powers that oversee these areas in the Middle East, not just countries, but down to local communities where somebody can say there was a shelling 400 miles west of here and hundreds of our people died, and it was the United States. Now, in reality, it could not be the United States. How about it was forces acting for the Islamic State? And as long as there's a soldier, a tank, or a drone anywhere within 1,000 miles of there, the people that are being told that are much more likely to buy it. Now, if the American flag was painted on a never-ending flow of supplies we already have that for some reason are not brought to the welfare of those who need them domestically, which is a reformation that I feel a certain candidate leaning toward in opposition to the other. But by, only being involved in these regions in a humanitarian way, we eliminate the unfortunate presence of aggression and military combat in these countries by the United States. Now, if you want to hear the military is depleted, if you're not and have not been a member of the military in the last 5 years, maybe 10, You know our military is not depleted. You know that to cut the massive spending of our military, we just have to redistribute people. We just have to change around where active duty military and reserve military are located in CONUS, and we need to really think about the land that we own, that we have military developments on outside of CONUS. That is the continental United States, for those who aren't familiar with the term. So again, for the probably fifth time, as a solutions analyst with the interest of the United States at my foremost thought, I would say the money, the income, and the revenue drawn from the leasing of that land to countries which we would hopefully have a good relationship with for their own domestic military power allied with us, and making money off all of this equipment that is now not in our active fighting pool by giving it and providing the training to other military outfits that identify with us. Now, this is not in any way used to provoke other countries. Nobody in the United States of America, and I would say I could honestly and straightforward hazard-free guess that about 98% of this country would be vastly averse, if it came down to needing our approval to go to war with any other country. You would never get it, because nobody wants war. Nobody wanted war at any time, and though we reacted, we do not face a great threat. We are not facing a country of militarized robot people that are coming to kill us. We are not talking about brainwashed, downtrodden people that are willing to kill en masse and willing to drive the tanks and willing to fly the planes and do so over another country's soil and have to kill hundreds of millions of people to subdue a modern nation. I can't see this happening, and any president that would allow an outside gesture by individuals, even up to the actions of groups of people in the hundreds, that you would put the lives of hundreds of millions on the line. Because we know, I have recently, until this past summer, served active duty in the Navy, so I've seen the expenditure that we put on defensive and offensive capabilities on all of our vessels, on all of our platforms, and knowing full well of the expenditures that go into the military that could be used elsewhere. I'm offering a solution that eases the burden on the taxpayers, that redistributes our assets in a way that benefits us as a community at home, and our standing and readiness to react if anything truly does happen to us. But when it comes to ISIS, the most powerful weapon we could use would be to divert part of $1 billion, which is not even the budget of some parts of states. And we could build all of the temporary facilities enough to house respectfully all of these hundreds of thousands and the millions, by offering them comfort and humanitarian aid for a situation we had a hand in causing. And that gesture would reach very far, and I doubt that those people that rested at night finally safe and secure because of the United Nations and all of the countries that are a part of it working in harmony to actually solve this problem. I feel like it would be hard work for somebody to then tell them, no, it's us who actually was blowing stuff up and making these problems in the first place, who you should be loyal to, and not those who gave you aid and at least attempted to apologize for what had happened. We have the capability. It's time to start acting this way. And that is why, yet again, I will say, as a solutions analyst, I can help in this coming administration, and I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.